right, 1, 2, 3. Good evening, everyone. It's Tom Sydney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Psych Club and from the Tom Numbers Show. And I've got my buddy here, Mr. ISMAEL Perez. ISMAEL, how are you, buddy? I know you've been traveling and you've been touring. Tell us all about it.
Sure. I've been going across the states. I think I went to about 7 different states where I had scheduled a book event, a signing, a lecture, and in each and every single one of them, the turnout was amazing. I didn't realize I had a lot of supporters out there until I went on a book tour, and it was just fun, getting to meet other starseeds and other people that are awakened and are part of this journey, that are helping the masses wake up in turn, of course, because, every single person out there that is part of the truth movement is a white hat, as I mentioned. So it was fun meeting others of like-minded, resonance. I had a blast, brother.
Excellent, buddy. What were some of the states that you went to? So you're on the West Coast, you're in California. So take us through maybe just a brief summary of kind of the places you stopped and what it was like.
Sure. So I started in Glendale, Arizona, which is by Phoenix. I actually ended up doing 2 events back to back on a Friday and a Saturday, because there was just a lot of people there that missed it on Friday due to work. So I gave them the opportunity of coming back on Saturday. So I did 2 there, and they both turned out to be good. I also went to Austin, Texas. And in Austin, Texas, I actually ended up doing a book signing event at a comic book store. I was I was greatly influenced by comics.
Did you wear glasses and a suit, or did you put a Superman cape on? What did you put on? Clark Kent or Superman?
No, but it was fun. I had an opportunity to meet a family whose kids are fans, and they follow my work, and they're like, I think 11 years old, 8 and 7. And they understand everything I say, and they were telling me about their own experiences, some of their dreams regarding themselves having superpowers and stuff in their dreams. And I told them the truth, that those are different versions of yourselves in other parallel universes. And they were like, "Oh, wow, so I do have these powers." I was like, "Yeah, you guys do have these powers in other parallel realities." And they were stoked about that. So I had an opportunity to meet a lot of people. After Austin, Texas, I did a book event in Florida. I ended up in Miami, Florida. And I also actually ended up doing 2 events in Florida. The second one was at the Energy Healing Room, which is a place where people use high frequency scalar waves to heal the body. And it was so healing to be there in the room with all these amazing high frequencies that were penetrating the room. So that was beautiful as well. And then from there, I did go to, I think the city is called, it's close to Atlanta, Georgia. I forget the name of the city, Decatur. There we go. But I think it's pronounced Decatur. It's French. I don't know if it's pronounced in a French way, but Decatur. So I did my final book signing there, and unfortunately, I didn't have time to finish up the rest of the states. Planning though to continue next March, to continue, New York, Boston, Massachusetts, perhaps even Michigan, Oregon, Washington, and some of the other states that I missed. So I'm planning on doing it, but this time, instead of driving, I'm going to be flying, so I could cover maybe about 12, 15 states in 2 weeks. We do consume a lot of the time during the driving, right? So
yeah, I think that's the way to go. I mean, it's fun to be on the ground, but I think you can get more done with flying. Yeah. And then you take your time a bit. I mean, enjoy it a bit more, and just not racing from one place to the other.
Oh, exactly. I enjoyed every bit of it, my friend. Like the nature, the greenery, the scenes, the mountains, the hills, the deserts. America is such a beautiful land, and I enjoyed the driving as much as I enjoyed the book signing events. So it was a good experience.
Good. Did you go on your own, or did you have a buddy with you?
I had a buddy with me. Yeah, he was driving 90% of the time. I helped him drive a little bit on the way home, but that gave me an opportunity to relax and just kind of enjoy the drive and the scenery.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
That's
yeah.
cool. Well, I'm glad it went well for you, buddy, and I'm glad that you enjoyed the driving and the actual events. Maybe you have to come sometime over to the UK. I'm sure you've got fans here as well. And Mark App was putting on an event in April. He's doing one, and then there's some. I think there might be some others during the year. So anyway, something to think about. But when we spoke on the phone a few weeks ago, you were, I think, at a barbecue or somewhere getting a bite to eat, and you were telling me, and you would sound really excited about the success of it. It had quite a few hundred people at most of your events, so it seems like it went really well, so.
Yeah, I'm also planning on touring the globe. I'm planning on going to, the UK, obviously, Australia, Canada, Dubai, China. I think but that's not going to happen until the end of next year.
Okay.
Then I'll be able to go to Canada, Australia, the UK. And I'm thinking about visiting maybe about 10 different countries, 10 to 12.
Good.
So.
Awesome, buddy. So what have you got for us today? What are some of the things you'd like to talk about and highlight to the viewers? Because it's been a few, it was over a month ago. I think I was in Hawaii when we spoke last time. So I was on the other side, and you were just about to go on your book tour. So you've done that. I've got back. So now we're reconvening. What are some of the things you'd like to talk about today with the audience, Ismael?
Yeah, there's some information that I would like to relate that is very prevalent to the times that we're living in, what to expect. We are really close to the great shift of the ages, my friend. Even within the scientific community, they are noticing crazy anomalies taking place with the electromagnetic field of the planets. It's acting up. The poles are shifting various degrees a day. So they're shifting already. It's getting to the point where we are going to have a pole shift, but it's not going to be a negative pole shift where, there was massive geological upheavals, catastrophes and stuff, as it has been in the past. But this time it's going to be different. It has a lot to do with the resurfacing of ancient hidden civilizations that are running parallel to our surface world, that have existed for millions of years, predating Atlantis and Lemuria, within the oceans, as well as within the core of the earth. So there's this great, great secret that has always been at the core of all secret societies. And that has a lot to do with the City of Gold. The City of Gold is an actual city that houses the Tree of Life, which corresponds to immortality, light body activation, that exists within the center of the earth. And due to the high vibrational frequency of the planet, due to the fact that the planet is raising its vibration to, I think, over 13.7 hertz. I think that's what the last, 13.11 hertz now. The last Schumann resonance registering at 13.11 hertz. The frequency is raising so high that it is, forcing these civilizations to come to the surface. So, we are going to have a lot of volcanic activity happening as a result of this. We are going to have a lot of increase in earthquake, seismic activity, perhaps a lot of, crazy weather happening as a result of this. But again, we're also going to be shifting into the fourth and fifth and sixth dimension, depending on where your vibration is. Like I mentioned in the past, most people are going into the fourth dimension. However, those that are doing the spiritual work are going to be going into the fifth dimension. So we are getting ready to shift, brother, and all the signs are there. These ancient civilizations that have existed for millions of years are getting ready to rise. And I'm not talking about the Agarthians or the Shambhalans. I'm talking about civilizations that have been deep in the ocean, brother, that are connected to the City of Gold. The City of Gold is like the epicenter, and that corresponds to the second root race known as Hyperborea, which predates Lemuria and predates Atlantis, going back to about, I don't know, maybe about 4 million years ago. That's when that civilized. So these are earthborn civilizations. They're just considered breakaway groups, of course, So they originated on this planet, and that's where they've been this whole time, is hidden within, deep in the Earth's surface. I mean, underneath the Earth's surface, in the oceans, and then of course at the core of the Earth you have the head capital, which is the City of Gold, and that's the ancient city that all the secret societies have been after, including Hitler. Hitler again, having access to the secret records was always after the city of gold. And get this, brother, it turns out that the Titans, right, the giants of old, which are related to Enki's bloodline, right? That's when, when we hear in the Bible about the Nephilim, the fallen Elohim who had children with the daughters of man, produced the giants of old, right? So it turns out that some of these giants have been in like stasis. They have been sleeping for thousands of years in some sort of like a stasis chamber. And due to the activation and the rise of frequency on the planet, we're also dealing with them waking up from their stasis. And that's another concern right now for the White Hats and for the forces of light. So what's happening right now is that the Hyperboreans, which correspond to the ancient Olympians of the gods, are also rising, but now they have a physical counterpart. Turns out that the gods have also human avatars. And so that's what I've been talking about when I've been referring to the rise of the next stage of human evolution, how it's this time it's coming from the earth, it's not coming from space. And so what's happening right now is that there is going to be a new set of Olympians, gods and goddesses that are going to emerge as heroes. And so when the Titans do wake up, they're going to prevent them from wreaking havoc upon the earth during the shift. So a lot of interesting things are going to be unfolding, my friend. A lot of interesting things. So it's good to be prepared. There is scientific evidence that the poles are shifting, but at the same time, what we do is we do have these fleets that are at the North and South Pole that are monitoring, the Earth's pole shift. And these fleets are associated with the Interdimensional Council Alliance, and they're making sure that everything runs smooth, that there is least catastrophes, and that only the wicked get eliminated during the shift, of course. So some interesting times are ahead of us.
That's very interesting. All of that you just shared with us.
I just dropped the bomb of information.
That was very good because there's a few good numbers that have popped out from that. So okay, let's go into it. So you said about the here we go. Let me just finish that one there. So I've got it. Okay, so you said the polar shift. So I looked at that. So polar is 62. 62 is shot, 62 is queen. But it's also Nikola, as in Tesla. So I looked at that. But then the interesting thing about it is the word shift is also 62. And can you hear me all right, buddy? I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. I had to mute it. There was some noise behind me. Sorry about
no problem. That's all right. That's okay. So so polar is 62 and the word shift is 62. So they're both paired, But that comes to 124. 124 comes to a few things. One is gigawatts, the amount of power in Back to the Future you need to time travel. New Jersey, a key marker on the board next to Manhattan, next to New York. Statue of Liberty is actually technically in New Jersey. And President Trump's Trump National Bedminster, the golf course where John DeLorean was from, where he owned the property. President Trump has it now. But then if you do a polar shift, that takes you to 125, which takes you to time travel, takes you to dark to light, takes you to John Kennedy, takes you to golden ticket, talking of golden things. Comes to a few things. But it comes to superhero. So a polar shift comes to superhero. And you were talking about the Titans being superheroes.
No,
so then if we go a little...
The Titans are the bad guys. The Titans are the bad guys. Those are the Nephilim, the giants.
Oh, sorry, the Titans being the bad guys. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. They're those
but
are working.
Who were the ones that you mentioned with
the Olympians are the good guys. The Olympians.
Okay,
yeah, but this time it's going to be a new set of Olympians, which they have incarnated in human form. So they're living among us already. They're just going to merge with their fifth dimensional counterpart.
Okay. So the Olympians, they're not in the City of Gold?
Oh yes, they're fifth dimensional. Yes, they're rising from the City of Gold to merge and fuse with their third dimensional avatars, which are already here on the surface. Okay. So it could be any one of us. You could be an Olympian. Anyone watching this show could be an Olympian. Okay,
cool. Well, Olympic. If you do Olympic, that's 93. That's Bushnell, my last name. It's Nazareth. It's Floater. It's a few things. So That's pretty cool. That's awesome. I'll have to do Olympian. I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but a polar shift is 125. The polar shift, this is interesting, is 157. And someone that passed away this week is Kirstie Alley. And I did a show with Janine just a few days ago. I was feeling Kirstie Alley probably hasn't. She's probably in witness protection. And I don't mean that disrespectfully to people that know her, etc. But anyway, 157 comes to the polar shift, and out comes to Kirstie Alley. And she's age 71. My channel, Psych, is 71. Psych Club, Psych is 71. But this is interesting. So the City of Gold is 149. That comes to flux capacitor, which is a key marker in Back to the Future. And I mentioned that, I always mention it, but I'll mention it even more clearly. You've got Elon Musk with Twitter right now. And I did when he first came out in about April, May time this year, about buying Twitter, and a lot of people say, oh, it won't happen. I did a piece at the event in Birmingham in London, and I did a presentation on it. I thought it was a marker because the Bluebird Motel motif is in Back to the Future, and it's got the Twitter bird, it's the Bluebird. And now Elon has bought it, and now it's tweeting everywhere and telling you the truth. But the interesting thing about Bluebird Motel with the Twitter symbol, the numbers come to 138, which come to Donald Trump, comes to revaluation, comes to the savior, comes to Elon Musk Bank, and Elon bought it with his bank account because he paid for it. And then it also comes to I am Twitter. So I am Twitter comes to Bluebird Motel, and you have it right there. So that's lined up, and it's just before Marty does the shift back into the future. And so it's interesting you're bringing this up about the polar shift, and the polar shift and the City of Gold. The City of Gold is flux capacitor 149. It's also inauguration 149. City of Gold is 116, which is country, which is Thursday. Interesting enough, the Titans is 116. You said, this is an interesting one. So you said about Titans being the bad guys.
Yes.
And so you corrected me on that. But Titans comes to 83, which actually comes to the word negative, which is kind of interesting. So, so it's actually Bible, saying the negative.
Yeah, in the Bible, they're called the Nephilim, the Nephilim.
Yeah.
And they were obviously an abomination. They used to, they're carnivores, they used to eat humans. And they were anywhere from 16 foot to 24 to 36 feet. Yeah.
So they were taller than you, buddy.
Yeah, they were taller than all of us.
I know, I just put it in your leg because you're 6'3". But so you're a couple of inches, good couple of inches taller than me. But the Nephilim are even bigger. So anyway, it's just play on words. But so the pole, but also get this as well. So pole shift, pole is 48, which is tree. You talked about the tree of life. So maybe there'll be something in the center with the tree of life and the pole. Maybe the tree of life is the pole. Ultimately, I don't know. But 48 is also Tom. It's Iowa. But shift again is 62. So pole shift comes to 110. 110 comes to president. It comes to Christ. It comes to the Christ. It comes to magic power. It comes to Elon Musk. 110. And then the pole shift, this is really interesting, comes to 143, which comes to Kryptonian, which comes to November 5th, which comes to Melania Trump, which comes to Building 7, which comes to Ground Zero, comes to my cousin's name, Paul Bushnell. He's a part of the numbers for me. He passed away, but I get orbs on him a lot with my videos. But that's really interesting when you're talking about when you're talking about the pole shift 143, November 5th, we're told here in our culture to always remember the 5th of November, November 5th. But that's a key marker because it's ground zero. And the film Tenet is 64, which is movie, which is Jubilee. But it's a reversal. The film is all about reversal, 125, inversion, time travel, a polar shift. But they show the building destroyed and simultaneously resurrected, recreated. And I always feel there's going to be a big reversal on the events back in 2001 in September. I think that has to be somehow corrected for humanity. And it's interesting that 143, ground zero, 143, building 7 is the pole shift. So I don't know, but it's interesting the stuff you've brought to my attention while we've been talking about, and the numbers correlate that to that. So yeah, the golden city. Yeah. Very cool.
It's actually surfacing through all the different volcanic activities that is taking place. So on a third dimensional level of reality, we see magna, we see lava, but on a fifth dimensional level of reality, it's a civilization. And I think that because the shift is coming, the veil is lifted, humans for the first time in thousands of years are going to begin to see things for what they really are. It's going to be beautiful, my friend. And
Wow.
they're saying that the reason the electromagnetic field is weakening is because that was imposed on us by the fallen Nephilim, or they call the fallen Anunnaki, through the side of Enki and his son Marduk of Babylon, Belial. And so they kind of kept us locked in this third dimensional reality, right, through a reincarnational cycle. And they used the moon and Saturn for that. And get this, you know what Saturn is also, according to mythology? Kronos, the leader of the Titans, the bad guy. And you know what Jupiter is? Jupiter represents Zeus, the good guy. The Olympians overthrowing the Titans to usher in what? The golden age, right? Every time we enter the dark age, it's because we're under the control of Kronos, which is planet Saturn, right? The dark side, the black sun, the black occult, the cabal. I'm sorry to say it like that, but now we're shifting. Now we're, and then when we think of planet Jupiter, we think of the good guys. We think of, the Olympians, the heroes of old that are re-emerging back to make sure that we usher into a golden age once again.
Wow. Some other things have come up as well, Ishmael. So the city of gold, I call it the golden city, but golden city, because golden is 57 Tesla. City is also 57 Tesla. But if you add those together, 57 plus 57, so golden city comes to 114, comes to frequency, comes to sovereign, comes to trump card. And Janine put out a post today, and I reposted, added some numbers to it. It was all about the Wizard of Oz. So the Wizard of Oz is 176 Back to the Future. But if you do Wizard of Oz, it's 143, which is what you've just brought up in terms of the pole shift. And so 143 is Wizard of Oz. And there they talk about the yellow brick road, the golden road going to the golden city. And you and I know this from our connections and studies with Mormonism. They talk about the millennium being basically Kansas City, Independence, Missouri next to it. But Kansas City is 122, which is where Dorothy went. And 122 is also millennium, which is the 1,000 years of peace, the golden age. President Trump spoke about America entering into the golden age, and that's at least for a 1,000-year period. Some other things on 143. So you've got the pole shift. You've got November 5th. It's also the president is 143. And it also comes to, in a blink of an eye, 143. In a blink of an eye. Rachel shared that one with me. I might have known it before, but she's the one that brought that to my attention recently. The Punisher, so that's quite used in the movement. The Punisher, 143. But get this one, quantum field. Quantum field, also real Superman. Quantum law is 143. So all these things with this polar shift, it's really quite fascinating actually how they all add up, 143.
Amazing how everything ties into numbers.
Yeah, it's amazing. It all gets confirmed, but maybe we can talk a bit more about this, the golden city, because it's at the center, but are there any kind of places where it may emerge, or will it be the whole thing, or there places that are predicted around the earth that it kind of might help bring it to the surface initially, or am I not describing it correctly? What's going to happen?
Well, the Golden City is the head capital of the inner earth. So they're connected to all the subterranean societies. Okay. They're connected to, Shambhala, Agartha, even civilizations that exist deep in the ocean that are hundreds and thousands of years ahead of us, where the people have actually adapted and mutated to be able to live in the water. It's connected to the new, I guess, civilization that is still deep in the Antarctica ice region that is also being activated as I speak. So it's connected to all the hidden cities, all the major advanced parallel societies that have coexisted with us for hundreds of thousands, and in some cases, a million years. So all this relates to the different root races, my friends. So you could say that the first seeding of the earth goes back to Polaria, which was an advanced etheric spiritual race. It wasn't yet physical. So the Polarians set the blueprint for the physical counterpart that later became known as the Hyperboreans. So this is going back millions of years before Atlantis and before Lemuria. So then we had the second root race, which was the original immortal human race, which is what I've been talking about. Our ancestors were immortals. And that's where the Olympians come from. The Olympians were the remnants of that one race, of that ancient Hyperborean race that used to exist where everybody was immortal. So the Hyperboreans settled in the core of the earth, and their city was made out of gold. And they have been existing there for millions of years, the Hyperborean root race. So, and then after the Hyperborean root race came the Lemurians, okay? After the Lemurian root race came the Atlanteans. And then after the fall of Atlantis, which has a lot to do again with the AI takeover of the world, came the Aryan root race. But now we're ending that cycle and we're entering the Merovingian root race, which is the sixth root race. And then we still have one more root race to go, but I believe that root race will begin at the end of the millennium. So what's happening is a convergence of different timelines, time vectors, as well as different dimensions coming into in sync. And so the Hyperboreans correspond with the sixth root race that is rising. So these ancient Olympians, who have always been the gods of old, the Council of Immortals, have always existed, and we see them resurfacing throughout the different epochs. We see them resurfacing through during the times of Atlantis, when the Earth was under darkness, under the rule of Kronos, Saturn, which again has to do with the Titans, the Nephilim, and then they struck the Nephilim down, Zeus with the thunderbolts. That was the god's iron rod, which is now being used by the White Hats to bring down like the Georgia Guidestone and other negative monuments. But it is the same thing, the same weapon that was used by the Olympians. And it came to my attention that Zeus has been working secretly with the White Hats, by the way.
Wow.
So that's kind of fascinating as well. But he also has a physical counterpart, as well as the rest of the Olympians, who also are humans. They have human avatars. And when this shift occurs, their human avatar will be merging with their, physical or their fifth dimensional immortal self. So that's going to be interesting because, the Olympians had many children. So that explains the many people that are going to be activated through the dormant genetics, which is going to really be an infusion of dimensions taking place, which is going to allow people to have these amazing powers. So I'm looking forward to that, bro. And
wow.
Again, it's all going to be in the nick of time because the giants are due to wake up any day now.
So all this,
the giants are actually, as I speak, any day now. They're ready. Yeah, it's a
really?
history. Yeah, history repeats itself in cycles. So this is the last cycle. This is the cycle where the earth is going to finally be settled in life and light for all time and all eternity. Never again to ever experience a dark cycle, in other words.
Wow, bring it on.
Yeah, the fullness of time, right?
There you go, the fullness of time. Yeah, exactly. Wow. So you get this, brothers. So we talked about polar shift, 124. Olympians, 124. So nice. There you go. So, they're all coinciding. The Olympians is 157. That came to Kirstie Alley. Comes to Brooklyn Bridge, actually, interesting enough. And I think Trump is king 157. But wow, that's amazing. I've maybe heard tiny little bits of that, never quite like that though. So are those things that we've just discussed, are they going to be preparatory to the solar flash, or they come at the same time as the solar flash, or just after, or where do you see that?
I believe that it's going to come with the solar flash. It's going to trigger the flash.
Okay.
It's going to all happen at the same time. In fact, the solar flash will cause the reversal in magnetics, which is going to catapult our society into a multiple multiple, I guess what they call it, multiple electromagnetic fields, as they existed during the times of Atlantis, when the Earth was still connected to the cosmic current. And then that's when the Earth was connected to the other dimensions, you know. So all the fairies, all, you know, magical creatures that we read about in mythology, all of a sudden they're just going to be there overnight when this shift takes place. It's going to be cool.
Wow. Wow. So this is interesting. So the pole shift is 143, but one pole shift, so what, you know, is 144, makes you think of the frequency for 144,000, but also the solar flash is 144, digital soldier 144. So that's really interesting. And yeah, maybe it all comes together, and the pole shift 143, the solar flash 144, and it, yeah, wow, incredible. It's all in it's all in time, it's all in the divine clocks. And when you say the giants are waking up now, will we see kind of physical things of that? Will that be more of a spiritual kind of consciousness awareness, or be a bit of both? Well, how would you see that sort of manifesting? Because if it's happening right now, I'd assume maybe there are some people in the Earth Starseed able to witness that as this is happening.
Oh, yes. As the veil gets lifted as a result of the shift, we're going to be seeing them waking up. And that's why it is crucial that the Olympians that exist, that are pretty much at the center, guarding the tree of life. Oh, by the way, at the center of the Golden City is the tree of life, which has to do with the tree of immortality.
Yes.
Yes. Remember, there was two trees. There were two trees in the ancient manuscripts. They talked about the tree of good and evil. And then what was the second tree? The tree of life. And that's the tree that grants immortality. So the Olympians, the Hyperboreans, have been protecting that for millions of years. But now, because of the times that we're living in, due to the shift of ages, they're bringing that to the surface, which corresponds, my friend, with the activation of our what? Light bodies, our celestial bodies. Right now, we are in our terrestrial bodies. So we're going to be shifting from our terrestrial bodies to our celestial bodies. And then that's when the fusion takes place between a new set of Olympians that are already living among us. Could be you, could be me, could be anybody in the audience watching this.
Wow. Do some of us go from a telestial to terrestrial to celestial as well? Are there some that are in the lower, the telestial, and then the terrestrial?
Well, the telestial is really a word describing the etherians, those that are ether, that are just etheric matter. They don't have carbon, they don't have molecular, what we call,
they don't have bodies.
DNA. They don't have bodies, organic bodies. They're just etheric.
Okay.
That's what telestial means, by the way. So I do explain that in my book. I talk about the three different types of beings that are in existence. Those that are ascending from the top down, that are celestials, and they originate from the realms of eternity as immortals, right? We have the original immortal race, in which all human-like civilizations in the multiverse were made in the image of, right? And then underneath them, we have the Etherians. The Etherians is the next level down. They are the children of the celestials. And then the Etherians, who are those that are still not physical, then they gave birth to the terrestrials. And so now we're like in this, now we're reverting that, we're ascending. So now we're connecting our terrestrial form with our etheric form and our celestial form. And that ties into the Eastern studies regarding the subtle energy vehicles, right? The causal body, the energetic double etheric body, the emotional astral body, the higher self mind body, and then of course the overself body of light, which has to do with the 5 different energetic vehicles that we don't see in the mirror, but that are a part of us.
Okay. Very cool. I've got a question. So I did a show with 107 a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned a phrase that I'd not heard before. And he referred to, I've spoken about this on a couple of shows since, but I wanted to see if you have any knowledge about it. I didn't. So he mentioned a society, and he called them the White Dove Society. I don't know if you've heard of them or familiar with them. I asked him, can you tell us a bit more? He said, oh no, for another time. But he wanted me to hear it, and he wanted me to put it out and ask questions about us. So I just wondered if you've ever heard of the White Dove Society.
It's describing the forces of good. You know, they go by various names. They go by the Brotherhood and Sisterhood of the Quest, the Brotherhood and Sisterhood of the Melchizedek Order, the Brotherhood and Sisterhood of the White Lotus, the Brotherhood and Sisterhood of the White Lodge. So there's different terminologies describing the forces of light that are operating in multi-dimensions. So
Okay.
I would say that, yeah, the Brotherhood of the White Dove is another terminology describing, the forces of light that are operating from different dimensions here on the earth.
Okay. And there's connected to that. So I've heard that the New Jerusalem, the ship, the starship known as the New Jerusalem, and again, that goes into other people's beliefs and Christian beliefs, particularly in Mormon culture. They talk about the New Jerusalem being established on the American continent again. But there's a lot that talk about the New Jerusalem being a ship, being an actual physical spaceship that will descend. And I'd seen pictures of it before, or diagrams of it, impressions of it, but I found it again today. So I put it out. But sometimes they just call it the dove, and the dove comes to 79,
yes,
which
I've
comes
heard
to
about that.
Lemuria, and it comes to Mother, and it comes to nature.
I heard about that. That's actually explained in the Keys of Enoch, the Book of Knowledge by J.J. Hortak. It describes like this vehicle, this mothership that is actually the size of the American nation, and it descends upon America to establish the New Jerusalem. I believe that is going to take place, and I wouldn't be surprised if the dove, or what they call the New Jerusalem, is already hovering over America. Because America has a lot to do with one of the first civilizations that existed way before Lemuria and Atlantis. I mean, it is a sacred land. And, most people say that all civilizations began in the Middle East or in Africa. And that's part of the false light, by the way. That's part of the deception. The original civilizations, going back to, again, the Polarian root race and the Hyperborean root race, were located in the Americas. So that's going to be interesting when all that information comes out.
Okay.
And so we're bringing it back to like the beginning of Hyperborea, which was a beautiful golden age.
Right. Because another thing with that as well is the dove comes to 79, comes to Lemuria, comes to nature, comes to Mother. It comes to the atomic number for gold. So we're going into the golden age. It also comes to the word super, as in Superman, comes to the word wonder, as in Wonder Woman. So it's got this hero description within it as well. So Superman, Wonder Woman, etc. And also, this is really interesting, is the New Jerusalem, the mothership. So the mothership is 164. The New Jerusalem is 179. But if you combine those, add them together, that comes to 343, which interestingly comes to a few things. But one of them, it comes to President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, 343. And I've asked Janine about this a few times. We've done a couple bits on this over the last year or so, but I remember over a year ago asking her about this, and I said, "Is there any connection with Kennedy on this ship? On the New Jerusalem? Is he like kind of almost like a kind of Captain Kirk character on this physical vessel?" And she said, "Yes." So yeah, the New Jerusalem returning or descending as a dove to the earth. And the other thing about this is there's pictures of Tesla with a dove. There's pictures of President Trump with a dove. I don't know if I've seen one with JFK. Maybe I might be imagining that, but I've definitely seen Tesla with a dove, and also President Trump with a dove. And Diana was very kind of dove-like in terms of being gentle and as a princess. So it's curious how the numbers add up and correlate, and point to that. And the other thing about it is when you do President Kennedy, it comes to 188, which also comes to Close Encounters. So you've got the whole thing of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, disclosure. And then you've also got Jesus of Nazareth. And you've also got the coronavirus, which descended upon the earth in 2020. And then they changed the name of it to the other word with the 19. But I was like, so there's always double meanings. It's like there's always double comms. There's the dark side, but then there's the light side. And 188 seems like it's a super powerful number from that perspective, but also 343, and it's a palindrome number. It's 33443. And President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, which is the New Jerusalem, the mothership, the New Jerusalem, which is known as the dove.
The dove makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the New Jerusalem. It's actually, some people think it's coming from Orion, but it's actually coming from Sirius. and it is going to descend upon the Americas. I believe when the shift takes place, because it's going to protect, it's going to create certain safeguarding zones where people are going to be teleported to those safeguarding zones,
Right.
and not experience, the natural catastrophes that are only going to wash away the wicked, which is amazing. Unlike other cycles or shifts of ages, this time is different, my friend. This time only the wicked are getting eliminated. It's
Yeah.
not like in the days of Noah. It's different.
And that's because, is that literally, I mean, there's a few reasons for that, but is one of them physically, if you just look at it from a scientific conscious point of view, if you're vibrating or transforming into a higher dimension, and wickedness is a lower dimensional frequency of vibration, that it annihilates it. It can't exist anymore. That be correct?
Exactly, because all matter, all form is held through vibrational frequency. So when the vibrational frequency changes, if the matter is not adapting to it, the matter ceases to exist and becomes destroyed. And only those that are adapting to the new frequencies, the higher frequencies of brotherhood, sisterhood, harmony, compassion, love, understanding, joy, gratitude. Their bodies are going to be able to match the new vibration, and then that's when the dormant DNA comes on. And then that's when we go from a 666 carbon-based DNA, interesting, to a 777 crystalline-based DNA. So it's going to be interesting.
So we're going to 777.
Yeah, from the 666 is locking us into this mortality. It's locking us into this flesh. The 777 undoes the carbon-based molecular structure, which is a difference in the electron flow of the atom, and then that allows a crystalline-based structure to take form and effect. And then that's when our lives increase and we live longer. Instantaneous healing happens worldwide with our new bodies. Yeah.
Wow. And will we go from a 777 into an 888 at some point further into the future?
And we go into the etheric matter. 888 is now etheric matter, because beyond crystalline DNA, we have double etheric DNA. And then beyond that, we have plasmic DNA. Then we go into the 999. So it just keeps going and going.
Okay. When do we see the 888 coming in? I'm not getting ahead of us, so we want to get the 77 in, but I'm just curious, what's the kind of time frame for an 888?
So I believe that some of the advanced souls that are down here in human form are already vibrating at a 888 etheric matter plasmic DNA structure, which is going to be equivalent to them using anywhere from 70 to 100% of their full genetic material, whereas everyone else is going to go up in increments.
Okay.
Yeah. And that, of course, and that actually ties into the rise of the new Olympians that are living among us, the new set of gods and goddesses.
Okay.
They're the ones that hold the double diamond sun DNA, which has a lot to do with the 888.
Okay. I know we've mentioned this before, but talking of the percentage of active DNA, most humans is it a 3%, 4%, 5%? Where is it that they're at right now? And then ones that are starseeds, either awakening and starting to get other spiritual gifts, what sort of percentage range is that in?
Well, I believe everyone's using 4% of their full genetic material right now. But that 4%, it locks people into the carbon-based molecular structure of the 666, 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. But again, as the atomic the electronic force, the electromagnetic, the electron flow of the atom shifts, so does the body. And that, that's what differentiates the mortals from the angelics or the celestials that are using 7-7 molecular structure DNA, 8-8 molecular structure DNA. But it's really us, as we ascend, then we become the angels, So all the angels they are a future version of us. There's no difference. And we are a past version of them, similar to that famous quote, right, in the church: as man is, God was once; as God is, man will become.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And so if the world as a whole is on the 4% level, when people start to percolate and activate at a higher level, what's the sort of percentage range then that some of the souls on earth right now would be experiencing?
Percentage for what, my friend?
For the DNA. So if people are at 4% DNA, kind of most people, when they start to activate their spiritual gifts and start to ascend.
Oh, they're going to go to like 10-15% of their DNA, which is going to allow them to exist in the fourth dimension.
Okay.
And then those that go to 20 to 30% DNA are going to go into the fifth dimension. And then those that are using 50 to 60% DNA or I believe seven, it goes in increments of 30%. So we're going to have different levels of upgrades. Not everybody's going to be going to the same level. So depending on how old the soul is and where their vibrational frequency is at the time of the shift,
yes,
that determines the amount of genetic material they're going to be using.
Okay. So I'm going to talk, and we're talking on YouTube, so we'll be good at talking back and forth on this, but this is just a hunch, this is a feeling that I have. So I heard someone put something out in the last couple of weeks that, you know, we see so much information with all this, but someone was saying people that have had their DNA altered because of the global thing that everyone, or a lot of people got, they said that they were changing their 2-strand DNA and it was changing it to a 3-strand. And I was hearing this, and I was thinking,
well, the third strand is not organic. It is it's an artificial strand that is connected to, you know, artificial intelligence that will be connected to artificial intelligence. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to hook everyone to the Borg, and the Borg is already in place. You know.
Okay. Yeah. Where is the Borg? Like, is there a physical location of it, or is it kind of in a interdimensional, or is there a physical location of the Borg?
Oh, it's in two places. One of them is located deep in the underground base of in Colorado Airport. Its code name is Red Queen, and the other one is located in our atmosphere. I think right about the stratosphere, right before you hit space, and that has a lot to do with the satellites that the darksters have been setting up in the last few years. So we have those two advanced computing systems are actually once they crank up the 5 Gulf, that's when they're supposed to activate the whatever you want to call it, the little things in people's bodies, and then that's when those things take over their nervous system and their mind, and corresponding to apocalypse. What is it called? The zombie apocalypse and all that stuff.
Okay, so would the White Hats have that under control now? So when President Trump said, "I caught the swamp, I caught them all," so I always take him at his word on stuff. So it's like I feel a lot of this is just kind of having to act out. Or do you feel that thing, or those two places, are they actually online and going to do something, or is it something that was and now the White Hats have taken that out of action?
Well, no, the White Hats can take that down because that is being broadcast from Orion, from the lower belt of Orion, where the Dracos originated, and then of course. Okay, so the White Hats were able to dismantle some of that technology when they disconnected the frequencies that were coming from the rings of Saturn, and then when they also took over the moon, the artificial moon, they were able to reverse the computing system. Okay, but the two advanced AI computing systems are still in place, and the only way they're going to get eradicated, my friend, is through the solar flash. The solar flash is going to just nuke it within, in a split second.
Okay, so that's one of the things that the solar flash is going to do. It's going to take those. It'd be like a galactic EMP that will take those things out.
Yeah, and it's also going to nuke the black box of the Borg advanced quantum computing system that has been established in Orion for like over 8 million years.
And that beams down to here or over to here as well.
Oh, to here, of course. Yeah, they infiltrated us through Mars. Even the Martian civilization fell due to the AI infiltration. It was always about AI, my friend. History, everything history is a lie. The whole fall of Atlantis was all about AI. The Mars colony was destroyed because of AI. Many worlds out there were destroyed because of AI. So it's almost like this is our last chance. This is it. We're winning. We're winning the war.
Yeah. When did the Mars colony get taken down?
Approximately 2 million years ago. So we could say that Yeah, we could say that bad guys transfer themselves over from the remnant surviving people of Mars, transfer themselves over to our planet during the times of Atlantis. And then that's how they infiltrated, because Marduk, the son of Enki, Belial, was in charge of the Mars colony. Before him, it was Ansu, and Ansu was another negative reptilian that was in charge, who actually operated from Orion. But then, of course, Anzu was killed by Anu, who was the rightful heir to the throne of the Nibirian High Council, a planet Nibiru, the Battlestar planet. And then after Anzu was disposed, then Enki put his son Marduk in charge of the Mars colony. And so eventually, after they destroyed Mars, Marduk also infiltrated Atlantis, destroyed Atlantis, and then Marduk has been at the head of the cabal ever since. But now Marduk is being taken out as I speak.
Wow.
Because because Zeus has returned. Zeus and the Olympians are returning, and so that's why they're stepping down.
Going back to Zeus, when you said he's here in a physical, he's a physical avatar. Do we have an idea of who Zeus is right now? Is he amongst us? Is he in our movement? Or is he one of the figureheads, in the Trump administration, someone that we would know, or is he kind of a slightly more hidden?
He's hidden. He is one of us. His higher self is actually operating the entire alliance in the White Hats. He's directing the entire White Hat operation from the higher realities. But his physical counterpart is in human form. Nobody knows who he is, but it's not just him. He's not alone. He's working with a team of people. And again, the Olympians. A new set of gods and goddesses are going to be emerging that are already in human form. And then beyond that, we're also going to have the 144,000 who are going to be like all the different superhumans that are going to be working with the new set of Olympians. And they're all here. It could be you, my friend. I could be one of those. It could be any of the listeners. So you never know who they are,
So, and this team of Olympians, is it like a council? Is there a number to the council? Is it like 50, 100, 12?
No, there's actually 13 now, because now we're entering the 13th creation as we enter this new era in cosmos. But before they were the 12, right? Because and every ancient culture had the 12. The Egyptians had the 12. Jesus, the apostles of 12. I mean, we could see the concept of the 12 in every ancient culture. But because we're moving into the 13th creation, now it's the Council of 13. So they're going to be at the core, and then you're going to have 144,000 that are going to be the second body, and then you're going to have the millions upon millions of star indigo celestials in human form that are going to be like the third governing body. But it's going to be like a new set of whatever you want to call them, next stage human evolution due to the genetic mutation that's taking place. But really, it's going to be a fusion of these different parallel timelines that are coming back together as one.
Okay, so it went from 12 to 13, and then you have Zeus kind of as the head of it, but then there's 13, a council of 13 with him. Would that be fair?
Yeah, and then around them there's the council of 144,000.
Okay, and the 144,000, we know that that's a frequency, but is that also the literal number of star seeds and advanced avatars? It's both.
It's both, yeah, because it's a frequency that we all have to attain to become a cosmic rishi, meaning a completed being or an ascended being, where we are one with the multiverse, while maintaining our individual memories and consciousness. That's the beauty. It's like you don't lose your individuality. Once you merge with Prime Creator Source, you actually keep your individuality, and you're able to be one with everything else. So it's like how they say in physics, a particle is both wave and particle at the same time. A photon can be both wave and particle at the same time. So that's how it is.
Quantum. Quantum.
But it's also going to embody. It's also going to be embodied by 144,000 individuals who are going to be the first ones to open up to activate the portals, because everyone is a portal. We're all a portal, by the way. So the 13 are going to be the ones that are going to kickstart that, like a domino effect. And the 13 activate the 144,000, and the 104,000 activate the millions of star seeds. And it's just going to be like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. And that activation will happen maybe it's partly going on now, but the majority of that, will that just be kind of simultaneous with the solar flash, or just before or just after?
I think it's going to set up the solar flash. I think, the 13 are going to set up the solar flash when they first activate. So first, it's an activation of human portals, and then it's an activation of the the sun. also shifting into its next phase, because we're going from a yellow sun into a white sun, I believe. No, I'm sorry, yellow sun into a blue sun. I think it's white or blue, I'm not sure, but right now we've had the yellow sun for quite some time. So even our sun is ascending, our sun is going into the next octave.
Okay, so the sun will advance as well.
As well, exactly. The entire solar system is.
Okay, that's interesting when you say about the 13. So 13 is 99, which is Patriot, which is Ascension, which is also Jupiter. It's also Judgment. I guess there's a judgment, you know, there's a leveling that comes with that. But there's 33s. But if you do the 13, it comes to 132. It comes to JFK Jr. is alive, and it also comes to Princess Diana. So I wonder if perhaps maybe those two that I've mentioned, along with President Trump and others, maybe consist of that council of 13 around Zeus. Maybe.
Or the council of 144,000. We'll find out.
Yeah, or the council of the 144,000. Yeah. So would that be right then? So there'll be Zeus, the council of 13, and then the council of 144,000. But then within that, the 144,000 are there.
It's not like it's going to be a different set of counts, a different set of gods and goddesses. They're not going to be called. Okay, so the name Zeus was their Atlantean name. You know, before that they had a different name in Hyperborea. So now they have different names, you could say. So it's not like they're going to be called, you know, what they were called in ancient times. They're going to be called something else. Okay. And I think they're going to adopt their Earth name, whatever their names may be, you know. But they're going to be the equivalent of the heroes of old. You know, there's going to be one person who's going to be able to have access to the god's iron rod, which is the thunderbolt, and that's what they've been using to strike these megalithic structures. By the way, these negative ones. Yeah. So yeah, he's going to have access to the thunderbolt, which is, you know, going to pretty much when the giants wake up, the Titans, the Nephilim, you know, he's going to use that to once again strike them down for all time and all eternity, never to once again, you know, do their shenanigans again.
Yeah. What was the so it's interesting about the name Zeus? That's 71. That comes to Lady Diana, it comes to Smart, it comes to Moses, it comes to my channel Psych, as in Psych Club. Smart is 71, Royal is 71, so maybe it's a thing of true royalty. But you mentioned that Zeus had another name. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. Jupiter Zeus is the progenitor of the Holy Grail, of the lineage of Jesus, Mary Magdalene, King David, Solomon. It's the same bloodline. So they're rising. They're rising. The Olympians are rising through their descendants, correct? Because our ancestors lived through us. Think about that.
Yeah. So it's both ways.
Exactly. And yes, Diana, JFK Jr., the Trumps, and you know, Melania, they're all connected to that lineage.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And you said about Zeus having a name, but then prior, Zeus was called someone else. Do we know what the name, one of the other names of Zeus was?
At this time, I don't have access to that name, but I do know that he was part of, he comes from the lineage of Michael the Archangel. So as Michael the Archangel represents the chief guardian of the celestial realms on all 12 dimensions, Zeus was, as a descendant of Michael, Zeus was Michael's representative on the earth in the fifth dimension at one point, you know, when he was in charge of not only the earth, but he was actually in charge of the entire cluster of stars that we're part of, known as the Pleiades.
Okay. It's interesting you said that. So I did know this. I need to just work this out again. So Archangel, A-R-C-H, Archangel.
Brother, I just want to let you know I'm actually running out of time.
Okay, yeah, we'll get that. Here we go. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So Zeus bloodline comes to 159, which comes to John Kennedy Jr., which is interesting. The 159, which also comes to, that actually comes to the Chinese elders as well, which is interesting for the good side of, you know, China restoring all the events of what's gone in the last few years. But anyway, bro, this is really interesting. We'll have to, on our next one, we'll have to go into a lot more of this stuff, because this is new. This is like good brain candy. This is really interesting. So how can people find you, buddy?
They could find me. Oh, I have a website now. It's called ourcosmicorigin.com. And they have,
okay.
yeah, you could find all my links there, my YouTube channel, my social media platforms, everything, you know, my TV series on Unified TV, Unified TV / Ishmael. I have 4 different series. I'm going to continue doing more where I go into detail about the cosmic history, the galactic history. It kind of highlights and brings, and it enhances the information in my book, but in greater detail. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'll put the link there so everyone can find it, find
Okay.
you and sign
I'll
up,
give you the
and
link.
that'll be awesome, buddy. And just a reminder for people here, go to sign up here on the Tom Numbers Show, Top of Your Game, and also my other channel, Site Club, and all the other various links that we'll put up, and go over to Ishmael's and sign up to everything there. All right, buddy. Well, God bless you. Godspeed. We'll speak again soon. And that was a lot of fun. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Ishmael. Take care, man. Bye. Bye.